Welcome to the podcast where we take a deep dive into the stories behind construction business leaders. We will share how they got started, how they found success, and the lessons learned along the way. I'm your host, Eric Fortenberry. Welcome to Builder Stories. Welcome back, everybody. Today, I am excited to have Kelley and Jeff Turner with Staycation Fiberglass Pools. They're located in San Antonio, Texas. Really excited to have you all on. I know we did a pool builder webinar a few weeks ago, and just that was like awesome, went really great. So I'm glad that we get to spend this time today to dive into your backgrounds and how you guys started your business. So, just really excited to have you. Welcome to Builder Stories. Why don't you kick it off by sharing a little bit of, a little bit about who you all are, what you do, how you got into building pools.
Well, first, Eric, thank you for the honor and the privilege. We are very honored to be able to do this with you today. One of the things, Jeff and I have been small business pretty much my whole life and half of his life. So we appreciate everything you do for us and for the entire world pretty much with your amazing job tread and everything that you've been doing. So first, thank you for that.
Appreciate that.
So we are Jeff and Kelley Turner, and we like to have a lot of fun, right? We're a little bit different. We're a little bit crazy. We're a little bit out there. We tell our clients, right, we're building dreams. We're doing these things that maybe you only have the opportunity to build a pool one time. For some folks, maybe they're building it a second time, but it's really one of those things that I think a lot of people really do dream about, and they think about and they plan, and they really want to make sure they're making that right decision. And so we're very honored and blessed to be able to bring these dreams to life. And your system has been a huge part of making sure that we're on track to doing that successfully for our clients. So we're fired up about what you've been able to bring to the
And
table.
he has lived in San Antonio his whole life. I have not. So for those that obviously are from different parts of the world, I'm actually from South Chicago. I say that because nobody can pronounce Kankakee or spell it. So but that's where I was born and raised. My parents now live in Florida, and I moved to San Antonio in 2008 and started a power sports business. So that's how I got into small business, motorcycles, jet skis, boats, ATVs, side-by-sides, motorcycles. Funny thing, that's how I met him over 15 years ago. We've been married. This October will be 3 years. So do the math. We've known each other forever. But that's how I got started was literally moving from California. After I moved from Illinois, I moved to California, lived there for 13 years, got out of that rat race and said I want to own my own business. Came here, started that. Female-owned power sports dealership is not something that I expected to walk into, much rather expected to walk into with the pushback that I got. I can say in the pool business, it's been a breath of fresh air that there are more women in this industry, and I haven't had the pushback and the negativity that I got when I was in power sports. I had to make my name for myself, and it was a lot. So I know he's learned a lot with his businesses. I've learned a lot from my businesses from that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's super cool that like the way you view this is, like bringing dreams into realities. I know that I'm actually going through a pool build right now. With a job trade contractor here in Dallas, and it's probably been a little bit more of my wife's dream to get this pool built at our house.
Usually is, let's be honest.
Yeah, we had one at our first house, but then when we had our daughter, we decided that we just kind of would rather not have a pool for a while while our kids are growing up. But now that they're older, back to swimming age, really love it. Wanted to go ahead and put it in there. So it's definitely been a dream of hers for a while, but I'm knee deep going through it, and it's been really cool to be the homeowner, like the end consumer of the job tread, client portal there, kind of getting to see this from a whole different perspective. But yes, it's definitely been really neat, and I have a whole new appreciation for the pool build process and kind of all the intricacies that go along with it.
That means new stuff's coming, right? Things you saw and you're like, well, we could tweak this.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little bit about, how's the, it sounds like you've been at it for a little bit. What's the structure of the business look like today? Like what, do you have other employees? Do you Do you just use, trade partners, subcontractors for everything? Kind of what's it look like
So
there?
we are very, very different. We are the only one I know in San Antonio and probably 150-mile radius, or maybe in all of Texas. I don't want to say all of Texas because I'm sure I'll get some haters, but that's okay. That don't use subcontractors. The only
Okay.
thing that we use subcontractors for is our concrete. And even at that person that we work with is a family-owned business. He's the only one we use. He's the only one that pours concrete for us. Everybody else is W-2'd on our payroll.
Wow.
So everything we do, from our trucking to bring in the pool, our dream team members to sell the pool, the staff that's putting in your pool, everybody is W-2 from us. So I love that aspect. It is a little bit more from a business standpoint. For business owners, they're probably hearing me going, oh my gosh, your insurance alone has to be expensive. It is. But in my mind, to be able to control the outcome of what we want for our pool, to keep our integrity and what our goals and ambitions and our core values are, I can't do that with subcontractors. You just can't. We have one subcontractor crew that we will use to install, but they've been with us since the beginning, and their family. The only reason they don't come on W-2 is because he likes his write-offs, let's be honest. But he literally only installs for us. So he does it our way. We have a very specific install. Jeff is actually the only contractor in Texas that's actually certified in fiberglass through PHTA. So we just hold ourselves to a much higher standard. So for us, a lot of our business that we've built has been based on integrity, and then how do we, keeping those employees happy and wanting to stay with us. And I love the fact that we have so many diverse people. We're the only one with a female install crew too in Texas. So that's been fun.
Awesome.
We get people asking for that. So I think it's really cool to see how we've been able to create something completely different, but also raise the industry in the same time frame.
Yeah, I love that. And so how many people is that total on your team?
I should count
22.
Yeah, we're in the low 20s or so. It fluctuates, but we have really amazing people, and that's what we tell the team is, it's an entire group effort of everybody. Nothing happens with just one person, and you have to have really diverse people, and every team has to kind of have its own unique personalities. Sometimes they mesh, sometimes they don't, but all those personalities together is really what creates the end result. And I think we have a really, really good blend of just amazing people on our crew.
Yeah. How many jobs are you running at one time?
So busy season 10.
Okay.
10, we're doing about 10 pools a month currently. And then we have, of course, some spillover if they're larger projects or if we have, punch list items. So we may run up to about 20 at one time, just in any portion of that install. But for the year, we're usually trending from about 120 to 150 pools overall.
And being that it's fiberglass, right, we're typically in and out in 30 days. So it does make it a lot quicker. The dig, if there's no rock, anything crazy, we don't have the crazy rain y'all do in Dallas, right? Where the digs 2 to 3 days, and then installs 5 to 7, and then concrete comes in after that. Then it's cleanup, then spray deck or any of the extras. We have an amazing mason team that goes in after that finishes everything. So anything that people can dream of with concrete, you can do with fiberglass. We just tell people it's what's in the hole that's different. That's really the only thing. You want a slide, you want rock features, you want waterfalls, you want everything else, you can do it. It's just the shell is the only difference.
And how did, you guys do also on demand, I guess, would do a gunite pool, right?
Yeah, so our first couple of years of the business, we didn't. We just started doing that towards the end of the season, this season. And it was really because the team that we've been able to create, and we were able to bring on a group of people that do our mason and all of our rock features. He also does concrete. So we were able to really say, okay, how can customers come to us, we go out there, and everything about the project is screaming to us, you have to do concrete. And we're like, no, we don't want to, right? But we've got an incline that we can't get a crane up to offload the pool, or it's going to be a $30,000 crane. That just doesn't make sense. So we just take that design that they want and build it in concrete. But we build it with our integrity, our way, our designs, with his PhD background. following all the national codes versus, unfortunately, in Texas, there is no code.
It's kind of like the Wild West. There's a lot of really amazing companies, and then you do have the 5 guys in a truck. So you kind of get a good blend in Texas of what you have, and that can sometimes be good, but that can also sometimes be the issue.
Yep.
And we run into that. So, and that's kind of bad. So yeah, so we've kind of taken on, I think we have about 15 right now, concrete. We really don't want to, that's not something we want to say, hey, we want to do 100 concrete, 100 fiberglass. We really want to stick with what we love, and what we know. And that's those in and outs in 30 days. And in our market, there's only us and 2 other fiberglass. Here in concrete, again, there's hundreds of people that can do concrete. So we really want to stick with what we're really good at and what we know we can get done in those 30 days.
What would you say the other advantages are besides being able to obviously have a much quicker install? I sure as could be wish I had my pool already installed right now. It's definitely drug on.
So for me, I think the biggest thing for me from a customer service standpoint is I'm not in their yard more than 30 days. It's that quick. You're in and out. I'm sure you love the people installing your pool, but you're tired of seeing them in your backyard, right?
Oh yeah.
So for us, that's a big one is quickness. But I think the other thing is a lot of people don't realize they come with like tables. We have ones that have built-in tables. We have built-in chairs, bar stools, spas. Like I think a lot of people think, oh, fiberglass and it's not customizable. I think with all of our manufacturers, we have over 400 different designs and options. So there's definitely something we can do. We've also done hybrid where we've done the fiberglass and then they go, hey, we want a tanning ledge, but over here, but not made of fiberglass. So we make it a concrete. So we've done a lot of different things. Yeah. What else is there?
I think the biggest thing is for the majority of folks, right? If you're looking for something completely one-off, completely custom, sometimes gunite's the way to go. But if for the average homeowner who's wanting that standard pool, a large 14 by 30, a 1635, they're wanting some of these upgraded features, but they're not wanting to pay $30,000 more. And they kind of want to push their budget and be able to do the outdoor kitchen, the pergolas, the fire pit areas. We're really able to kind of help them take their budget and stretch it further while giving them a very high quality product. And I think for me, that's one of the biggest things that I've seen is just really being able to build more for that client within that allotted budget.
And less maintenance. It is a lot less work. We are horrible pool owners. And I'm so glad we have a fiberglass pool because I think we have a quad filter and he finally cleaned it after like 6 months and it was still cleaning perfect. So you're supposed to clean it like every 2 months. We put a robo in it, we check chlorine, and we're done. Like, it's just so simple and easy. There isn't the whole, brushing the concrete.
You're not there super shocking. You're not having to really, gunite in the plaster is porous, so you get a lot of things that get stuck in there and, algae could take root. So you really have to be on top of your chemicals and maintenance a lot more so on the gunite side.
Sure.
And fiberglass, yeah, we totally forget about it. If you have that pool just absolutely turn green, you shock it, you turn it on it, in a couple hours, it's clear. And it's a very different beast. But there are some folks who say, I work so much, I want to come home, I want to relax. I don't want to spend 3, 4, 5 hours cleaning and maintaining and doing all these things. I just want something that's easy and ready. And fiberglass is that option a lot of times.
Well, and I think too, what we see a lot of is people are like, well, we didn't know fiberglass could look like that, right? We get that all the time. And I try to tell people fiberglass has come a long way. It's not your granddaddy's fiberglass pool anymore that was built in the backyard in somebody's spray paint booth. Aquatechnics, which is one of the manufacturers we carry, they're out of Australia and they're absolutely incredibly amazing. Like there's so many things that they do. I know they've got like an aqua shield. They've got all kinds of stuff.
They've got their own patents. I mean, they're extremely, extremely well built to where a lot of folks just don't believe that that's what fiberglass can be. So it's really, really cool.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're, I'm going to go out on a limb that you're probably having to spend a good amount of time like providing education to your customers about the differences of fiberglass versus gunite. Is that something that, you see as a burden, or is that like an actual like blessing to get to sort of spend that first kind of a couple interactions, like providing education to them?
I think we really love the education part, and coming from other industries, the biggest thing I think that was missing in the pool industry is that no one really educated. No one really prepared the client. They just kind of gave a broad overview. And then you kind of found out throughout the process, oh, shoot, this happens, we have to pay for this. And so the education for us is not only beneficial to the client, but it's also beneficial to the business. Because when you educate the client on the proper techniques, what's the install going to look like, kind of what does the process entail, what's the good and what's the bad of the process, then they already expect it. And so kind of in business, or when we're, working with clients, you're basically hitting the objection at the door, right? You're able to provide what they may not think or they may see and they're going to experience. You're kind of able to provide that education ahead of time so that when they hit that, they're like, oh, you told me about that. That's on the video I watched. You're going to totally destroy these sprinklers.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Rather than looking at them and getting really upset, and now it became a fire where it's like, hey, man, so y'all are going to replace these, right? Well, the contract says, let's just hit it ahead of time. Let's prepare clients on a realistic expectation, and let's really show them something different. And I love watching my wife on these because she's just taken it by storm, and she's had such a great time with it. And I love watching her on there, and these videos pop up, and I'm like, oh, there we go. But at the end of the day, it's a blast. It's a blast to do it.
Yeah, it sounds like, I got to believe too, just the fact that you've got experience doing both and can say, look, we can do either, but like, we recommend this because of these reasons. I mean, that, sometimes when somebody comes and they only want to sell me kind of one option, I'm always a little bit, well, what's their incentive, or why are they only pushing that? But, it really does sound like you're sort of helping them understand the pros and the cons of both, which, at the end of the day, like I got to believe people don't even realize, that there are differences, and maybe some people do, but like, that's just a great opportunity for you all to come and kind of really be a trusted, educator for them.
Yeah, we tell everybody integrity and then education. Those are our two main focuses. On our YouTube, we have all our educational videos. We've done how messy is a pool day? We're going to kill you in the sprinklers. Here's video. Like, we have a full video. What should be backfilled? Why, with a fiberglass pool or concrete, you need some sort of release valve if you ever have to drain down or work on the pool. Well, with fiberglass, it's a subpipe tube. And I can't tell you how many pools have been installed here in San Antonio without it. And it voids the warranty. And it's just a very simple, cheap pipe that it's like, why? Or flex pipe, right? People like to use flex pipe. We use hard piping because you should be using flex pipe. So it's just those kind of educational things that we tell people, look, we're certified, so these are why we do these things, but we were doing it before we were certified. We want to do it the right way up front. And if you don't choose us, that's fine. We're good with that. Go educate yourself, though. Make sure that your project gets installed properly, because if you don't watch it, you don't know what was buried. That's why I love JobTread, because all of our pictures go on JobTread, right? We tag the customer. So they're seeing, if they weren't home, we put all hard piping in. They're seeing the sub pipe go in. They're seeing their gravel go in. They're seeing all this happening of all the stuff that we talked about was going to. Versus everybody else out there that's not using y'all, I'm sorry, and they're using subcontractors, they're not getting those pictures, I can promise you. And those aren't going up, and now you have no idea, you've been at work all day, what got buried. And that to me, I don't want that. I couldn't sleep at night if I knew we were doing something like that and just burying it and not knowing what was happening.
Sure. So tell us a little bit more, like kind of what are you, from that homeowner perspective, like what are they able to see? What, how much information about the job are you sharing with them on the client portal?
So with the messaging app that just happened, we're actually going to be transitioning over to that for all text messaging.
Really excited about that.
Yeah. So right now, the way it works is obviously their contracts, all the different videos. We do a sprinkler video. We do a video that introduces all the players that are going to be on their job. So they get introduced to our project manager, their superintendent, their QC manager, the office staff. So they know everybody. So they see all that up front. And then as we transition, they're seeing the dig. They're seeing the backfill. They're seeing the equipment being delivered. They're getting pictures of, if they weren't home, all the offloads. So they get that video of the offload with the crane, because a lot of times they can't be there. All of that gets put on JobTread and gets tagged to them. It's if there's an internal issue, right, then that's a separate daily log or an internal log that we communicate. But we try to share as much of the project, messy or clean, it doesn't matter to me. They need to see it. And if, there's issues or the client's like, well, hey, what's this? They can circle it now on JobTread with the app and be able to go, hey, what is this? I don't understand this, right? Or why is this going here? Whatever. If something happens, let's say the homeowner's not home. We had this happen the other day where something happened to the home, like a little side piece got damaged. Took the picture, sent it to the homeowner, said, hey, we're going to be fixing this. But instead of them finding it, right, or us not even being told because the subcontractor doesn't want to tell you, our employees know, you need to let us know, take the picture. I don't want those surprises. We have too much, we do way too much to fight for our 5-star reviews, right? And our customers know that, and we ask for those reviews all the time, but I can't expect a 5-star review if I haven't communicated correctly through the process. And I feel like communication is the number one priority in any business. And if a lot of people think over communication is bad, I don't. I feel like I'd rather bombard them and them say, whoa, that's a lot, than them come back and say, I never heard from you. I didn't understand the process.
Yeah. Absolutely love that. I mean, do you feel like you're able to kind of leverage all of this sort of this transparency and this whole like client experience and what it'll be like? Are you able to leverage that in the sales process so that might be one reason that, they're choosing you over somebody else?
100%. And JobTread has come such a long way, and it's incredible. We used to use another system. We won't say what it was. And what I really love about JobTread is exactly what you said. I'll piggyback off that. We can incorporate these different functions throughout the entire process. So if we're going out on a sales appointment, not only does it make it super quick and simple to bid the process, but doing change orders, doing contracts, and making sure that the important data is being tracked, logged. We have, when did they sign it? What email did it go to? The important things that we never hope to have to bring back up, but it's important on a business side.
Especially if you ever have to deal with somebody in an attorney situation. Our attorney loves JobTread.
Yeah. And that's very important. And a lot of people don't want to talk about attorneys, and there may be folks on here that they're thinking about getting into business or they just started. And in business, it's never about, will you get sued? It's when. And so you want to make sure that you're on top of everything, because you may just have that one customer who's unrealistic. And you've done everything you could. The project came out as expected, but there was just something there that either put a bad taste in their mouth, or they just disagreed with at the end, or maybe they fought over something that they thought was different. And so having a process that from start to finish, you can go back and you can reference the designs, you can reference the contract, you can reference these things, allows you to have a smoother process. And really, if it comes down to it, have a better defense. But if not, obviously, it's great having the portal. And they're able to go in there and be proactive. Hey, look, we noticed this was a problem. We caught it. We circled it, let you know we're going to fix it. That goes a long way with the client saying, hey, we're proactive, rather than, like Kelley said, oh, shoot, we found this. Why did you guys just try to brush it under the rug?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think on our dream team for sales, we call them dream team members. I don't like sales. They're not. My biggest thing with my team, when they go out, they're not selling you something. You asked us for something. Our job is to provide what you're asking us for, and we're going to lead you in the direction. So an example was, we had a guy who's like, well, I want a pool spa combo. And we're like, okay. Went out there, and where he wanted the spa, I'm like, what are you going to use the spa for? And he goes, well, I want a therapeutic spa. Gunite or fiberglass don't provide a therapeutic spa. So I said, why don't you just do a separate spa and we'll do the pool? And he goes, so you don't want to sell me the spa? I said, I'm not here to sell you anything. I'm here to build your dream and get you what you want. And what you're telling me is that spa isn't going to be used. Like, what you want it for isn't used. So stuff like that is big for us. But the other thing is, they use JobTread and they show them an entire project. So they'll go through and they'll pull up the job and they'll say, okay, this is what the hole should look like. This is how messy it's going to be. And they go through a project and they say, so now when you go to these other companies and you talk to them, ask them, do they use this? Ask them if they provide you with documentation throughout the process. Ask if they use flex pipe. Ask if they do sub pipe tubes. Ask if they do main drains. Find out what's not included, because this is everything you're going to get with us. What aren't you getting with them?
Yeah.
So it's allowed us to really use it in that aspect from the sales side, which the team just absolutely loves.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, I want to go back to the point of just how important it is that, you know, especially, you know, if you're thinking about getting into business, you know, you're early on, like making sure that you have all of the right documentation, making sure that you have your contracts and everything that you need to legally protect yourself. Because just like y'all said, like it's not if you get sued, it's when you get sued, and you need to be ready for that. Like it just breaks my heart, you know, when you see this one job can come in and just sink a company, and it's just because they just sort of assume that it wouldn't happen to them, and if it ever did happen, maybe they would do. Like, no, be proactive. You know, the nominal cost that it will take for you to hire a lawyer and make sure that you have the right contracts in place is it's invaluable. You know, you can't afford to not do that. And, you know, I think you all did a really good job of articulating the importance of that. And then just every contract, every change order, getting those signatures and getting the sign off and making sure that everybody's on the same page is so important. And that's what's going to hopefully help you mitigate, you know, these potential, you know, bad, tough situations where you get into it with lawyers. But like, it is inevitable. It is the nature of the beast. I mean, you can get sued for anything these days that has nothing to even do with what you're doing, but like, just be prepared and be smart about that, and don't fly blind.
Your little tracker on each project where it shows when they've opened and who opened what, lifesaver. Because we've had people, I never got it, I didn't open it. Okay. I can see where you did. I'm letting in time that you did not. So
to quickly piggyback off of that, I think one of the biggest things is you offer a lot of resources. You offer some really great partners to help, you know, us as business owners achieve those things, the contracts and getting everything set up. We learned, and I was going through our new contract last night, there was a very simple part in there where the attorney wrote that if a change order is sent, one signature constitutes a signature for both parties.
And
so essentially, so you have to check with your attorney, you know, call your resources. But for us, it allowed us to say in how busy we get, sometimes things get, you know, overlooked. The change order looked like it was signed, but only the husband signed, maybe the wife didn't. And then at the end of the day, they could come back and say, well, you know what, we didn't actually both agree to that. We don't need to pay that. And so having a contract that matches what you need to happen and doing those things, there's little things like that. I didn't even think about that. That maybe in a normal scenario where you didn't have that particular clause, both have to sign, or they could walk away on a $5,000 change order. And what are you going to do? Hire an attorney and fight them for $5,000? They're going to say it's not worth it. So protect yourself ahead of time. It's so much less expensive to do it now than it is to do it after.
And Texas also has some really weird clauses on being able to file a lien. So check with your attorney on that. We learned that too. I mean, so we were talking about like, what have we learned, right? I feel like we're constantly every day learning something new. There's always something or somebody. Unfortunately, your contract changes as you deal with things, right? So you run into a client. We never had issues with sprinklers for 3 years, ever. And we ran into one client. I went, all right, that's it. It's got to go to the contract, right? Or we're doing a video. So you learn things. But I think the other place that we learned a lot was at the conference, at the Job Trend conference. And I think I said it on the podcast, the last thing. I didn't have enough people there. We're not making that mistake again. We're going to have people there because it's a great opportunity for you to grab somebody that's in your territory and say, will you share that with me? Yeah, I'll share it with you. Just know that you need to check with your attorney or check with whoever. But I'm an open book and I want to share because I know that only raises the industry and raises to help protect small businesses. Because at the end of the day, we're out here providing a service, whether, you know, you have a ton of different companies for Job Trend, right? A lot of them are very small with the decking companies and stuff. And one little thing can make or break that company. And for us with so many employees, we don't have that ability. We've got a lot of mouths to feed and we have to make sure we run that ship as tight as we can. And having to replace somebody's sprinklers because we don't want a lawsuit on our hands or we don't want a 1-star review or whatever, that can cost a lot of money and that can potentially affect somebody's position in our company. And we don't want to do that.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more, and we keep kind of coming up with the sprinklers. I mean, it is a real thing. Like, I definitely, they told me that the irrigation system was going to get destroyed. I guess I didn't fully process it. And then I also didn't realize, like, all of the drainage, all my downspouts, everything in the backyard, like, literally got destroyed. And so, it was something that, I think it is important that, and I love how you guys are going out of your way to make sure that your clients understand this, and it can make or break that sort of those feelings, when you get into it, and then it's like, oh wait, this is one more thing that I wasn't expecting. I can see that leading to a lot of kind of confrontation, whereas, if you're just upfront about everything and try to sort of cut it off from the beginning, it's going to ultimately lead to a much better customer experience throughout the entire process.
And if they don't want to go with us because they're like, well, there's just too much. Like, you're telling me I have to pay for sprinklers. I'm going to need, a big one is downspouts and what's the word I'm looking for? My brain's dead.
Or you think more like the drains and behind retaining walls, your drainage?
The house.
Oh, gutters.
Gutters, thank you. My brain was dead. Gutters, we tell people, look, you're going to need gutters. You're putting concrete up against your house. And they're like, well, why? Okay, if you don't get it and then it rains, which it happens in Texas, sometimes in South Texas, more in Dallas, it's 4 or 5 inches at once. We just get a downpour. It's going to crack your concrete. Like, no matter what, like, you've got to do this. And they just are like, well, that's a lot more money. And I'm like, but I'm telling you these things. So put them in your contract to do your loan. Add to your loan for these things if you need to, or go get quotes. But I'd rather tell you up front because you need it. And if that's what makes or breaks you not going with me, I'd rather not have that customer, to be honest. And I think that's a hard line where sometimes you don't want to do that. But there's times where I'm like, we're not working with this client. Like, if they're being this difficult up front, I'm not working with them. And then we've had one of our favorite customers, his name is Joe Goins, and I absolutely love him. We've nicknamed him the Trapezoid Man. So he walked in, he sat down, he said, Kelley, I want a trapezoid fiberglass pool. And I was like, trapezoid. I had to go back to remember what a trapezoid was. And I was like, we have rectangle. And he was like, but I want trapezoid. I'm like, we can't custom make it. We can make your concrete look like a trapezoid. And he's like, oh, okay, well, that might work. Well, come to find, he was so hard in the beginning, but he has been the easiest customer after everything was explained. He was an engineer. You just got to kind of read people and understand what they do. And he was an engineer, and he just needed everything outlined. He has been absolutely amazing. Every single person that's been on his house, I think we've been on this job way too long because of this. He has fed breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And I'm not kidding. He has personally fed them, cooked the food, cooks for them personally. Our dig team was there longer. Our install team was there longer. And he's like, it's taking longer. And I go, because you're feeding them breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They're full. They can't move. Our concrete crew, we told them, and he said they were there for 2 days framing when it should have been 1 day. I'm like, because they're being fed. But those are the customers we absolutely love and why we do this, right? So I tell you that with both sides, right? That we could have very easily said, hey, no. And a lot of people did tell him no. But we saw he was an engineer. My husband's like, let's just kind of work through this and see, and then we'll make a decision. There's others where they just come in and they're absolutely not even in the same realm with us. And you're like, yeah, this just isn't going to work.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I think it's so important that people understand that, not all customers are created equal here. They're not all going to be your ideal, target, customer. And so are there other kind of sort of red flags or things that you look for that might kind of give you, a little bit of an indication early on that maybe you might not want to move forward with a particular customer?
My biggest thing is husband-wife. So if we're in a home and the wife's doing everything and the husband's not there and in no part of that process, at some point that person has to be in the process. In Texas, if they're on the house, they have to be on the paperwork. They both have to sign off and agree. That to me is a red flag. Well, my husband, kind of is never around, or, I'm not telling my husband, that kind of thing would be a red flag for me.
So when I go out, you want to really learn about personality types, and, there's 4 main ones. We won't get into them, but essentially everyone processes information differently, and everyone needs a different level of attention. So on an engineer, we know engineers are more detail oriented. A lot of times the customers that I like are the ones that ask all the questions up front, because when you get into the process, they've already asked the question. They know what to expect. They've done the homework. And some people take it as they're pushy, they want too much information, I don't have time for you. Those are sometimes your easiest clients when you get there, versus there are a lot of clients that come in, they got questions, they purchase, and they're just a terror throughout the whole process because they're like, I don't understand any of this. And then they go off on everything because there was just not a level of understanding there. They wanted it, they just didn't quite understand it. Now they're in a point where they're kind of rethinking their decision, you know? So for me, I think it's just understanding the client. How do they interact with you initially? Are they extremely difficult? We had one client that she would call back to back to back to back, 5 or 6 times. And this was like the first time we had talked to her, and she would leave a message, I need you to call me back today. It will be unacceptable if you call me tomorrow.
Yeah. Like, well, we're not going to work.
Yeah. Long story short, we're not working with that client. So I think the biggest thing is in your business, you do need to pick and choose who you work with. You don't want to take every job just because the job's there, because at the end of the day, a review, word of mouth is going to be one of the biggest things. The reason we strive for a 5-star review, and a lot of times I tell my crew, I'll pay an extra $2,000 to fix stuff to get a 5-star review. Because when you think about it, if you're making X amount on a job and that person, if they're super mad at you, they'll tell everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If they're super grateful and happy, they may tell 3 or 4. And it's the word of mouth based on your review. If you have a lot of 3.5 star reviews, you're ultimately losing more business than if you just spent the money and you did that. Think about how much we pay in marketing. We pay so much in marketing. We pay so much to get the client to an appointment. And then we spend so much time getting them to make a decision, and then they finally sign the contract, right? That entire process is expensive. So why not take care of that customer a little bit more, get them to refer people, offer them a referral fee so that they're like, oh, they kind of become your sales folks, right? And they went through the process, so they're transparent as all, because they're telling people, hey, this is what happened to me, but they're excited about it. Versus the one person who you get in an argument about, hey, I'm not going to replace your sprinklers, it's in the thing here, well, whenever, leaves you a 1-star review. You may have done a fantastic job, but you got a 1-star because you just would do that one thing.
And then sometimes you'll go to the HOA and tell the HOA, and then you get banned from that HOA, which is really bad. We've had some local contractors here get banned in the HOAs and they can't build. So you definitely want to make sure you're kind of looking on both sides, the customer and the job. But I mean, I don't think there's a lot of red flags. It's just mainly husband and wife for me. And then obviously, if they're wanting to pay with a whole bunch of checks, in my opinion, I only do ACH or wire or a cashier's check.
I think
we don't take.
A lot of folks may not know, but most credit cards can be charged back up to 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's just an as them calling the company and just saying, hey, they didn't do the service right, they didn't deliver it, charge it back. And if you're putting your entire construction project on a card,
We don't allow.
I do a $750 deposit on card. You cannot pay credit card, because I have had it where they called the company and said, we just decided they didn't do it the way we wanted it. Nothing was wrong. And here comes a $25,000 charge.
Yeah.
Be very aware of how you're accepting
your funds. Yeah.
Well, I love how everything, from the very beginning going into the job, you're just saying, look, we want to earn that 5-star review. You're setting the tone, you're setting the expectation that, we're going to be here, and I think that really helps give, the homeowners and your customers that like sense of like, wow, they really want, to take pride in this project, and they're going to go above and beyond. Like they want to showcase that. That is such a, just this intangible, but invaluable thing that I think really does help people make decisions on who they want to hire, because a lot of people don't really say that. I mean, getting reviews is almost always like an afterthought or something that is even just forgotten. And it's like, it's so valuable to your business that, I really it shocks me all the time to hear people aren't asking for reviews, and they aren't like making that part of the process.
So on JobTread, if y'all didn't know, there is a program in a company that Eric brought on that you can actually do reviews, and we have that tied to our JobTread. I think it's $25 a month. I don't know. To me, it could be $100 a month and it'd be worth it. But literally, I just go in there, click the button, all the emails, the text messages, everything goes. Now, it is the process of your team, though, to be asking for it throughout the process. Yeah. You can't just send it at the end and expect that you're going to get, you're going to get a return. Now, again, like he said, the people that are unhappy are going to be the ones that jump quicker. The ones that are happy, there's clients that are, oh, we're going to leave you a review. And I have to be like, hey, a month later, will you have a key, please? Because it's like, you don't want to bug them, but allow the program to work through JobTread and roll them through JobTread. It's super easy. But then it's also, as things change in marketing, I follow a lot of different things. Google isn't as prevalent now as Yelp. So depending on which phones you have and depending on what you use, it'll pull up Yelp before it will even pull up Google. So a lot of things now are transitioning where you need to make sure you're checking your Yelp, your Better Business Bureau, and your Google. To us, it's all three. And I tell clients when they call, they're like, oh, well, I saw the reviews. And I said, don't just check Google, because unfortunately, there's people here in Texas that have it in their contract that you can't leave a bad review. And they get it taken down off Google. It's crazy to me. Yelp won't do that, and Better Business won't do that. So go look at all of them. And I tell our clients, if you're shopping, look at all avenues of referrals. Don't just look at Google.
Yeah, no, that's great advice. You know, one thing, but before we turn to kind of focusing on your team and the culture a little bit more, like, I'm curious, like, at what point do you draw the line? I mean, how much are you willing to do, you know, in the backyard? I mean, will you do, you know, the decks? Will you build pergolas? What about fencing, like the turf, like all the irrigation, drainage? Like, because, you know, when I thought about getting a pool, I just sort of thought about the pool, but then obviously there's a whole larger spectrum of, you know, really doing the entire outdoor living space. And so I'm curious, like, how much of that do you all do, and how do you decide, you know, what you do want to take on and what you don't want to take on?
You know, I think that is a fantastic question. And when you first start, a lot of times it's what comes to you and how much business can you do. You try to do things that are outside of your wheelhouse, and as you grow, you ultimately determine that for yourself based on your own business. For us, we specialize in the pools, like the complete package, your concrete, your coping, your spray deck, the entire pool package. I include drainage because the homeowner will never do it. They just won't do it. And then they're going to come back to you and say, this cracked. And while we have a warranty, do you want to go back out and warranty all these things, or would you rather charge the client, hey, it's going to be an extra $1,200. We need to run drainage here. We can connect your downspouts, run it underneath the concrete, run it out to your yard. It's going to be extra $1,500. You know, let's get these out of the way first, because again, clients are going to get busy. Things happen. You're not going to do it after. You're just not.
And we're there with the equipment. Let us do the trench.
Now, when it gets into the other side of it, we will do turf, artificial turf. We do have a contractor that does turf for us. We can do your pergolas, outdoor kitchens. That's kind of the extent of what we do, because we have found that if you're doing the volume that we're doing and you're trying to do everything, you ultimately are spending more time trying to figure it out than you are making money.
Yeah.
And so we really consolidated down to just that specific area to make sure that we're profitable. And again, so that our team can specialize on what we're doing. I'd hate to build something and say, hey, well, this is the first time doing it. A, you underprice it because you don't know and you lose money on the entire job. B, you've got shoddy work because your crew's never done it, or you've used people that you may have never used before. Right. So I think it's important to have a specialty. And for each business, you're going to draw your own line as to what that specialty is, but don't try to do everything. Right? Specialize in what you specialize in, do 1,000% with what you do a heck of a job for that customer. And the last part is, if you continue to do A, B, C, D to Z, sometimes it drags out so long that that customer no longer wants to see you. It can ultimately turn what could have been a great review into not so great of a review, because you've done everything, but you've also been there for 6, 8, 10 months.
Yeah.
You know,
and we'll tell people, hey, we'll quote you the turf. Like, our guy is in-house. He works with us. We get the measurements. He gives us the price. We put it in the contract. So they're ultimately paying us. So it's we always say everything is included. We're not going to say, okay, now you have to go find your concrete person. Now you have to go find your turf person. Now we'll include it and we'll do the work if that's what they want.
Sure.
And we'll put it in the contract for them. So that way it is a true one-stop shop, and they're getting their full what we call turnkey product.
Yeah, no, that's great. So I'm curious. I want to kind of turn back to your team, and, you know, again, having 22 or so employees on staff. Like, you know, remind me, how long ago did y'all start the business?
During COVID.
Okay, so it's been 4 or 5 years, something like that. How have you sort of managed the and understood like when to hire? Because obviously you didn't start the business and hire 22 people. How did you? I see a lot of people that struggle figuring out when is the right time to bring on additional employees. Because they're very worried about that burden of if the jobs dry up, if something happens, like how are we going to keep them fed? How are we going to keep paying our people? How have you all sort of managed that? And have you had some sort of have you used like a growth plan or used like kind of annual budgets to help you understand the right times to hire people?
So this is a multifaceted question, and we've always been willing to bet on ourselves. We've been willing to say we will do absolutely whatever it takes to be successful, to drive the business. I still sometimes will go out on sales appointments if it's necessary. There's just certain things that we do in order to move our business forward. With that being said, if you're willing to bet on yourself, then you can create anything you want. One thing I really love about job trade is you can know your numbers. And I think too many companies don't know their numbers. If you were to actually ask people, what's your actual profit margin? How much are you realistically 100%. Making? Because everyone believes that they're making X amount until they actually pull the bills up and then they're like, oh. And 9 out of 10 times, they're not profitable just because you don't know the numbers. So when it comes to growth of a company, you have to know not only what direction you're heading, what your goals are, but are you actually meeting those goals, and can you actually pay for what you're putting out there? And so I think that's a really important thing. And I really love job trend because we can budget everything down to the penny. We can make the adjustments. We can see in front of us, did we make money? Did we lose money? My superintendent, one of his responsibilities is every job, once we close it, he has to go through, and this is what we went over budget on. Why did we go over budget? How are we fixing that? Because if it's something that I did, hey, maybe I bid it wrong. Maybe I didn't include enough backfill on this particular project. Or maybe we just had this happen and that's why we paid more. What was the reasoning? Do we need to adjust it? No. And so going into the hiring process, sometimes when you're starting, you're usually going to use subcontractors to begin because you can use them and they're going to come to you for work and you're going to be able to sell maybe however many projects you're doing. Before we started, I think we had 5 our first year. So we used a sub because we didn't have enough volume to be able to do that.
But our second year, we sold 75. So
we got consistent. Yeah.
Crazy.
And we had that volume coming in and we had the plan. Then it's one of the biggest things you hire for is sales. Sales is your heart. You've got to have sales. If you're not producing sales, you're not moving forward, nothing else matters. You have to have sales. Once you have that, then you're able to say, okay, well, what are we doing consistently? Can I bring these positions in-house because we have consistent work? And it is really a balancing act. There's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of things. So there's a lot of conversation you have to have with yourself, your business partner, your spouse. Realistically, where do you want the business to go? How big do you want it to go? And how is that going to happen? And how do you make it happen? Make that plan and understand that we need to be on the same page with what we're doing. And what does that look like? And I think knowing all of that first will help you figure out when you can hire those people. But until you've had those conversations, it's difficult to really know when to do it.
And I think for us, it was that first year once we did bring in sales. Literally, it was him, me, and one other person. And so him and I were pretty much doing the sales of one other person. We were able to do the 75. And that's when we said, okay, we know with 75 how quickly and again, Gunite's different, but we knew how quickly we could get our fiberglass pool shells in. We knew that we needed a trucking company. So instead of doing a trucking company, my lovely husband likes to just add another hat to my head. And he added he added a trucking business and we hired a driver. So now we have a trucking business. So now we get to control what the cost is to bring that pool shell in. Otherwise, we were at the mercy of somebody bringing him down from Indiana. That was $14,000. We were able, so for one pool, $14,000, there's no profit. So we'd have to stack pools, prepay for pools that weren't sold, a lot of money out of pocket. We went, forget this. We can send somebody up for 2 pools for $6,000 and be fine instead of one load for 14. It was just crazy.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, you've got to look internally inside yourself, like he was saying, and say, okay, what else can we do from a business standpoint to make our lives easier? It may not look easy up front. It may be like, oh, it's another hat I have to wear. It's another accounting software, whatever. But at the end, how much is it protecting your business and saving your business? Then we were able to say, okay, we've got 75. We know we can consistently do 75 and know that that means we can do 5 a month. So we need 2 install crews. And then we said, okay, then we need an excavator that way the install crews can just go from job to job to job. And then from there, once we knew that number, we just backfilled in. And then for this year, it was more, okay, we know we're projecting 150. So let's see how sales goes. We kicked off, we were great. And we said, okay, so let's bring in these other people. So I think it's more, you're looking at that. And if you're concerned with the payroll side, then start like we did and use subcontractors. Just know that you need to sit down with your subcontractor. You need to have a subcontractor agreement that states what your standards are so that they're going by your standard, because otherwise they're just going to do it how they've always done it.
Yep.
And that may not be what you want. So it's okay to use subs to fill in. And we do. Like when we get too busy in our team and we're not going to bring in another team because we know that's just peak season and we're not going to have work for them during off season, we'll hire a sub that we've always used that works by our standards. And we'll tell the team that we're doing that home for, hey, you are getting a subcontractor. Everything is in-house typically. This one specifically is a sub. However, they're abiding by our contract. Here's their insurance. Here's everything. And we're very upfront with it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And, I'm curious. You said earlier, I guess kind of some of the advantages of having, full-time employees, kind of easier to manage their schedule. You feel like you have a better control over the quality. What are there other kind of, advantages that you see?
The culture. You really get to build a culture. They love what they do. Their pride in their work, being able to go to an event. Like we went, the pool and hot tub one, it's usually in Houston, was in San Antonio this year. And we had everybody go. We said, we want you all to go. And I don't know how many people came up to us and said, you guys have like 100 people here. We have 20, but we were in bright orange and yellow shirts, like bright orange sweaters, bright yellow shirts, bright hats. It's just who we are. We're bright colored people, by our logo, everything. And they're like, you guys are everywhere. I loved it. And they had so much fun because they would go up to a booth and they're like, oh my God, you're from Staycation. So like their pride grew and it just gave them this feeling that they're part of something. And people want to feel loved. They want to feel welcomed. They want to feel appreciated. And they want to know that they're part of something great. And when you can give them that, and that's why our subcontractors work for us. We get calls every day, people wanting to come work for us. I'm like, sorry, we're not hiring, or sorry, we're just not looking for a subcontractor. And it's because of the culture we've built and the ability for us to have that, right? But with that comes a lot of responsibility. When they're on a job site, it's how they carry themselves. When they're at lunch, it's how they carry themselves, right? And so they know also, in order to keep that culture, they've got to kind of keep that standard to themselves as well.
I think as leaders, Eric, we get zoned in on certain things. If we're maybe a QC manager and our job is to only look for issues and errors and things like that, then we get trained to always look for issues and errors. And we forget that there's 99% great on the job, maybe 1% bad. And I think with people and teams and culture, it's the same. We as owners, a lot of times, yes, we see the projects and we see things, but we're always the ones privy to the issues and the concerns. And so what happens is sometimes we get conditioned to where we see something and we're like, oh, here it is again. But we don't look past and say, well, how well and what do they do for us well? What have they done that's just incredible? Yes, there's this one thing that needs a little bit of work. Yep. And so kind of with building the team and the culture, it's giving a lot of positive feedback. So at our meetings, we do wins for the week. We'll pull up projects. We'll show reviews. We'll say, this is because of y'all. This was a project y'all were on. And sometimes we forget that those folks may have been doing the install And every time they see that install, they're conditioned to only see the install. They never see the finished project.
Sure.
And it's really cool to see the reaction when you show the finished project, the review from the client, a client testimonial about how fired up they are about their project. And it gives them the sense of pride. It's like, I did that. When normally they don't see the full complete project, but now they're like, wow, I was the one that did that. That's how it came out. That's freaking awesome.
And I think we also look at, everybody has a story, right? There's going to be good and bad days. Everybody has something going on, and everybody has that story. So we're really big on, sitting down with these people and getting to know them, not just, hey, go out and work your butt off in 110-degree heat in Texas. I think I'm the mom, I'm yelling all the time, are you drinking water? Drink your water. Don't just drink water. You need to be drinking salt packets. And I'm throwing salt packets at them all the time because they're dehydrating themselves. I'm like, stop it. And they're like, but we got to get it done. I'm like, but your health to me is more important than getting this stupid pool done, and not stupid pool, but this pool done in 6 days. Like, if it takes you 8 and it's 110 degrees, the customer's going to be okay. Take your breaks. So I think it's a lot of that too, of getting to know the person, understanding everybody has their story. Everybody has stuff going on in their life. And yes, it's a job, but also it's a family. We're big on doing, our Christmas events, our family events, having people over to our pool on the weekends if they want to come and swim, whatever. It's just creating that culture and that lifestyle of them knowing that it is a family and that we truly do care.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. Like, I love everything you just said. Like, I'm such a big proponent of, like, culture in your team. I mean, it's everything. It is like, it's your lifeblood. It's who you are as a company. And I can tell you all have just done a tremendous job, defining that and building a great culture that, just like, I mean, even just right here, like, I'm like, man, I want to come work for these two. Like, it seems like you just have like a lot of fun. You really value the things that are the most important. At the end of the day, we're all going to have challenges. We're all going to make mistakes. Things are going to happen, but like, it's all about how you work together to overcome those, and just focus on the end goal, the end product, the end, experience that we're providing is a dream come true, and I think that's like, that is the everything. Like, I can't tell you the number of people who, they don't take the time to meet with their team regularly. They're not doing performance reviews. They're not, I mean, I love that you make your supers say, hey, here's where we lost money and why. And like that alone, that exercise right there, it probably makes the biggest impact on making sure that doesn't happen again. Yep. And so many people, they keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again and think a different outcome is just going to magically happen. And it's not. And
yeah, let's go. Like, I'm sure you're decking people like, it's supposed to take 150 nails and it takes 200 every single time. Up your thing, it's 200 nails. Figure it out. Like, it's not rocket science. That was with us with like haul off. Yeah. I'm like, this isn't rocket science. We know how many haul offs it needs. Just stop. Why are you guys filling it with more rock? And then we had all this rock left over at job sites. Like, I swear, if I have to go back to pick up rock, I'm gonna throw it at your head. Like, stop.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting, and I can just I can tell that you're really invested a lot into your team and your culture, and it's paying off. I mean, I love that you have the you take the time to, you look at the end product, you look at the the completion photos, and you look at the reviews, and like, you really help connect the dots between what they have done and the impact that they have made to make this a successful project. And like, that is like tremendous. Like, that really helps everybody buy into the culture and the why and the vision and the mission. And, I think you guys are doing a tremendous job. I love it. I love the family approach. It's just been such a great, a great honor to be able to watch you all continue to build this business, because I truly think you're leading by example. And, you said it earlier, it's not about just like trying to compete with, everyone around us. It's like, if we can all create a better business, like, a rising tide lifts all boats. Like, it truly does help everybody. And it's going to help all of the homeowners, all of the customers to have better experiences. Like, it's the terrible thing is seeing all the kind of the one-off contractors who just can't manage their finances and they can't manage the business, and they're creating a bad rap for everyone. But it's like, if we can help those guys too become more organized and build better businesses, the industry as a whole will get better. And, I think you guys are really, a testament to seeing the importance of having role models and having companies that, can be showcased. And I'm so glad, I get to share your story, because this is what everybody else needs to see and needs to learn, that they can build great businesses, they can build out their team, and they can scale and be profitable, but also have fun and enjoy life.
And it's work, right? It's still work. But you need to have fun doing it. And that's why our tagline is, we build dreams, who's next? And I tell people all the time, I'm like, this didn't come like that. I think people think, oh, well, they just made it, right. And it's like, no, there's struggles. You didn't see the struggle. You didn't see what we went through. You didn't see the year and a half that we were 4 hours away trying to build this business, and him leaving every morning to go down, and me staying here to run another business that I still have. So people didn't see that part. They see where we are today, and they don't understand how we got here. And that's where I think people need to understand, if you're starting a business, it's not easy. It's hard work, but it's worth it, because you're putting your sweat equity into your own name. So create what you want, fight for it, and don't stop until it's done. And know that the end will be rewarded to you, because you've done what you wanted to do versus being told what to do. But there's a lot of people, I think, in businesses that just take the smaller way out, or take the easy way out, and just say, oh, well, it's cheaper to do it this way. I will never do that. And I tell him all the time, and that's one of the reasons we helped start back up the Pool and Hot Tub Association here in San Antonio, and why he's on the board, because we wanted to start to create and build that back with all the companies here in this area. Cleaners, there's so many pool cleaners that are starving, and we have pools that need to be cleaned, and we can't find good pool cleaners. So it's like, there's just ways that you need to network. You've got to network. You've got to have a good back. I can't tell you enough, having a good accountant, a good CPA, a good attorney, and a good backbone with job tread. Those to me are those four. If you don't have those four, start with those four, and then you can build anything. Because if you have the right data software, which we have with job tread, you guys have attorneys, you have accountants, you have everything on your portal that you can do, or if you've got somebody else, once those four things are in place, they all work together, they all talk to each other, and you're able to then take that off your plate and breathe and do what you need to do, which is build your business. Because the last thing I need to be worrying about is contracts or law changes. I'm not a lawyer. That's what we pay a lawyer for.
And Eric, I have two quick things. I think you'll probably agree with both. The biggest thing being a business owner is we always get challenges. We hit doors all the time. We hit no's. And one of the biggest things we like to tell people is, every time we have the biggest struggle, everything seems to be going the wrong way, people are disagreeing with you, you're getting ready to have a massive breakthrough. You're getting ready to build something different. And God is saying, are you ready to get past this? If you are, show me how you can get past this and how you can grow. When you're able to get past the challenges is when your business grows.
It'll grow when it's supposed to.
It'll grow when it's supposed to. Anytime you hit a challenge and I can't get past it, I'm going to quit, you're just not ready for it. So what is it that we need to do to get ready to meet that challenge head on, and how do we get past it? And the last thing I like to tell all of our guys is, everyone says, I want to be successful. No one ever defines what that looks like. So if you're watching this, what is success to you? Is it being an amazing husband, amazing wife, an amazing parent, a business owner? What is it exactly that means success to you? And what does that mean? Does that mean you're making $1 million a year? Does that mean you're making $100,000 a year? Does that mean that you can balance your business with your work-life balance? What is success to you? And if you're able to outline and define what success is to you, you'll be successful. Too many people think you have to make millions of dollars, or you have to be on the front of a magazine, or you have to be this icon to be successful. I know so many people who are just amazing parents who are successful. They're amazing spouses that are successful. So what is it that you want to be successful at? And with your business, what does that look like? And if you can get to exactly what you want, that's your success, you've made it. You're successful based on what you're wanting.
And you always have more in you, right? There's a ton of books out there. One of our favorites is David Goggins. And he talks about that 20% more the 40% rule, right? So you get to there and you're like, I'm just done. I don't have any more in me. You actually have 40% left. And we're big believers of, reading and making sure that we're doing the things that leaders should be doing. But that book still to this day makes me mad and makes me happy, because there's days where I'm like, I don't have any more in me. And I'm like, okay, I hear it back in my head at Goggins. If you've ever read the book, this crazy man went through SEAL training, bud training 4 times, 3 times, whatever it is. I'm like, if he can go through that, I can obviously finish my day, right?
Nope.
So there's always more in you. Focus on what you can control and do that. But the other thing for us that I think has been the biggest part of our success is our social media. I think not a lot of people take advantage of TikTok and Facebook and Instagram or have a media person. All of it can be free, and you can build an audience and build your guidance and get your message out, and it doesn't cost you money.
And hey, you guys just nailed it. I mean, this is gold right here. I hope everybody will replay this multiple times, take notes. Exactly what you all just said. Like I could not agree more. Are the keys to success. It is so much a mindset here. It is so important that you understand this isn't going to be easy, but when you can figure out how to, appreciate the challenges, how to just work towards overcoming them every day, day by day, task by task, this is a journey, and those who can learn to love that journey will have such a fulfilling life, will have a successful business. If this is easy, everybody would do it. There's a reason why everybody doesn't do it. Yep. But those who know and learn and love playing this game, it is the most exciting and rewarding career that I believe you can build. So I thank you both, Kelley, Jeff, for taking the time to share these insights. You clearly have spent a lot of time, learning about the challenges of business and what you all need to do to overcome those challenges. You have built a great team, a great company, are doing great work for your clients. I love seeing it. I can't wait to see where, you all go next to the business, the next 5-10 years. I can only imagine. But thank you all for being such great role models to everyone else out there. It means a lot to me to see how active and engaged you all are with this job trade community, but just everyone else. I mean, like it truly is what we need more of in this world to help us build a much better construction industry as a whole. And I thank you so much.
Well, thank you for the time. We appreciate you taking the opportunity to have this podcast, because I know it's time for you too, but thank you for the offer.
Yes, and thank you for extending it to us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for joining us for this episode of Builder Stories. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained valuable insights that can help you in your journey along the way. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and leave us a review. And as always, if you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact us at builderstories.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Eric Fortenberry, and remember, every builder has a unique story. Keep building yours.